Good afternoon, and accept my greetings from wherever you are watching me. Please, I do not know if you can hear my sound. I would like you to confirm. I would like people to confirm that the sound is coming to them, because I've had a number of difficulties, technical ones for that matter. But now I am online, and I can see a number of people who are watching, and I would like to get confirmation from you if you are getting me. If you are getting my voice, please let me know if you are getting my voice before we can proceed. You can confirm. Welcome, Elvisco. Okay, fine. Thank you, Montfort. Thank you for confirming that the voice is fine. So I think we can move on. And the gadget I'm using, if it runs out of battery, I will have to plug it, and that will take us some time. So like I did announce, thank you for confirming, Elvis. As I did announce today, it's been long. I've not come again online, but I thought I should come today because a number of things have been happening. Besides the usual opportunities that I talk about with you people here, and I thought that it is good to address those things and also discuss again briefly on opportunities, as we have been doing. So that being said, I think tentatively for today I will be giving advice on how to avoid being vulnerable and falling prey to online scammers, and then I will also make some clarifications regarding some opportunities abroad, and then I would end up talking about preparing for postgraduate admissions, which means admissions into master's and PhD programs. And I should be specifying that in North America, meaning the US and Canada, postgraduate is called graduate, because they talk about undergraduate and graduate, and then in Europe they talk about undergraduate and postgraduate. That being said, if there is somebody who would like to suggest another topic that we handle, that would be welcome. That would be much appreciated. And then questions will also be taken from questions, and comments and worries will also be taken from the comments below as we proceed. So do we agree on our format? Because I think we should be doing things as a family, as a group of people who agree on the things they should do. So are we okay? So we proceed. Okay, I think it is going to be taking a lot of time. Good. So let's start off from here, because recently I've noticed a number of people who have fallen victim to scammers and hackers online, and it's really a pity. Most of them that I know are people who are so dear to me, and I can imagine the pain of somebody's hard-earned currencies just going away like that. And I thought I should advise and even warn all of us, including myself. It's true that scammers are people who are always working and trying to ameliorate their bad practices of how to get to people, but it is of utmost importance that we should know some technical things. The first thing is, we should not buy into cheap lies. As we are here in our country, we shouldn't buy into cheap lies of thinking that it is so easy out there to get jobs. It is not so easy. I want to say certain things. Some of them will be general, but I will beg with you to understand that anything that is general has exceptions. But it is good that we know those general things that happen in almost every country, but with some kind of exceptions, so that we cannot buy into cheap lies. Generally speaking, in North America and in Europe, meaning the Western world, as we often say, most jobs require a first degree as an educational training requirement. That's the first thing we have to start off with. So when people start off by promising us fake jobs and claiming that I and my wife, or my wife and my husband, or whoever, we have a restaurant, or we have this in country X or country B, and we want you to come over and work, especially when those countries they are mentioning at the US or Canada or some key European countries, I beg you, please do not believe it's not so easy as we think. It is not so easy that way. Most jobs, for example, jobs that we do here at home in Cameroon, for example, like teaching in primary schools. After high school, we simply do a 1-year training in a teachers training college, and then we become primary school teachers. But you have to believe you mean that in the Western world, teachers of primary and nursery schools, all of them are required to have a degree before they do that. So this is just an example to let us understand that it's not always so easy as we think. Another thing we have to understand is that in the Western world, there is also unemployment, just as it is with us here in Africa. So, and they are meaning therefore that they are nationals, they are citizens of the countries in the Western world where we always want to go, who do not also have jobs, and they are also qualified to have those jobs. So we need to understand, because sometimes even media, the way media portrays things, makes us think that our countries are just a whole lot of hell. We all agree that there is a lot of fixing that has to be done, but we shouldn't buy into cheap lies of thinking that in the Western world everything is rosy, you can get everything, you can pluck dollars and euros from trees. It's not so easy that way. But I must warn, I am not saying people shouldn't travel, but I want that if people are traveling, they should travel in a dignified way, and they should travel by legal means and without getting scammed. So why am I saying this? And we should also be aware that even in Western countries, you will find people on the streets who also beg, people who are nationals of those countries, who sit by the roadside and also beg. The way the media does things, you will never see those things shown on TV. So when a beggar is begging in one of our countries and that is being shown, the whole world thinks that begging is only something common to us in Africa. That's not how it happens. And I want to also say something, because with regards to jobs, every country has regulations as regards to jobs and their nationals, and generally countries give preference to their nationals. So why am I saying this? Because if you have even your brother who is living in country X or country B in the Western world, and he opens a company, for him or her to just call you from home here and say, oh, come over and work with me, is not as easy as we think. Why am I saying so? I'm saying so because even in our own countries, like in Cameroon, the diplomatic missions we have, they're jobs that if they have, they must advertise the jobs. They must advertise the jobs, and they must prove at the end of the day that there was nobody qualified to do the jobs before they could bring in somebody from another country. There are jobs within the diplomatic corps that can only be done by diplomats from that country, just as well as they are jobs, certain jobs that if people take in your country, if a company comes to your country and it wants to recruit people, they must first advertise that job to the nationals of that country, and if they are unqualified or if they don't apply, then they should be able to justify to the government of your country before they can bring people from other countries to do that. So that is to tell you and me that even the way jobs and job offers function is very delicate. I'm saying this so that we should avoid running into situations similar to what is happening in Libya and what has been happening even up to now in Kuwait and some other countries. So we should really, because it really disheartens me to find our people suffering in those kind of situations. And usually it is because there are cheap lies being sold to people. Like recently, I have friends, I cannot mention names, but I'm happy because they always consult me. A number of them consult me when those fake offers are promised to them, and I will check them and tell them to be careful. You will find that, for example, somebody is sitting somewhere and claiming, thank you, Her Excellency, and claiming to be in the US and claiming that they have that they are called Hotel X or Y, and then they're sending you emails using Gmail. For Christ's sake, please don't buy into that cheap thing. If not for a few institutions that we see have at home here that do not have institutional emails, I should be telling you that in the Western world, People function with institutional emails. Institutional emails mean what? They mean an email address which is not Yahoo, which is not Gmail, which is not Hotmail. It means an email address created out of their website, the official website of that company, and they should have, and anything that they write officially should have the letterhead of that company. So because I've had situations where somebody tells me that there is hotel whatsoever in the US and they want to recruit young boys and girls from my country, and when I go and check, I see that hotel existing quite all right, and the hotel has a website. And then when I come and I see what the kind of communication that I've had with my younger ones, they have communication with them through Gmail. And then they are creating fake kind of things, claiming to be letterheads and sending to them and deceiving them into sending money into accounts. And sometimes they look for somebody who is very popular on social media. They can look for somebody who is very popular, who is very known, and then they use fake pictures of that person. Yes, I understand with you, Mom. I really understand with you. The worst of the things is mismanagement and corruption, which is driving our people out. No, I do agree. It's really a pity. But I think that as individuals, we also have to make our people, our younger generation, aware even of the dangers and the risks they would take by running away, so that if they must run away, they should run away in ways that minimize the risk. Especially the risk, because you will agree with me how painful it is to raise, for example, 500,000 francs CFA in Cameroon, and then it disappears into thin air in the hands of scammers. And that is money that today, with social entrepreneurship, creation of pure businesses and other things, a young person could still invest that money even into a cocoa farm, and that will employ the person and then a few friends and other people. And so honestly, I agree with you in terms of management, in terms of those who into whose hands our nations have accidentally or by design fallen into. It is really a pity, because people are running away as a result of this corruption and mismanagement. So I agree with you 100%. But I think the only difference is I want to make sure that our younger people know a few of these things before they fall into traps, very simple and cheap traps that people lay. I know that scammers always try to improve. They will come back some other time with some other kind of techniques, but for now, please beware of scammers promising you jobs in America, Canada, Germany, France, or Britain, because it is not so easy. It is not so easy that way. If you see Brexit happening, you should understand people in Britain, in Great Britain, who do not have jobs or are complaining. People from other European countries who are members of the EU have come in and are taking their jobs. So that's just a way of saying that. And I do not by any means mean that nobody can come out from Cameroon here and get a job in the UK, or nobody can come out from Cameroon here and get a job in France or in America. We can always get those jobs, but it will be good to get them in the right qualifications, scammed without being scammed. So that's really what I'm trying to drive home. And we should avoid, how on earth will you begin to pay money into accounts, to give money to people you don't know physically, somebody you just meet online, and then just because you are communicating with him on Facebook and he comes through and you know that Facebook is a place where many people, there are people on Facebook with more than 5 accounts. There are people on Facebook who have more than 5, 10 profiles. You just meet somebody on Facebook, then he ends up asking for your email and sends you some funny things, and you end up sending money to the person. And people will tell you that I am in the US, I am in Brazil, I am in France. Sometimes the person is just your next neighbor. Let me tell you, I have almost fallen victim, but thank God I've never, because each time they try me, they never succeed. There have been times scammers will call me on phone using a number, and the number really appears on screen as if it is a US number, and then they will pretend to be one of my friends who is in the US. But I will end up finding out and knowing the truth that they are liars, and most of them are not far away from us. Some of them are just people living maybe in the town of Yaoundé or in the town of Douala or in the town of Buea. I'm talking in the case of Cameroon, but some other countries will also have where their own scammers will be found. Or for example, in Nigeria, we know about Yahoo boys. In Ghana, we know others. But even in the Western world, there are scammers everywhere. So, and they have techniques that they can use a simple SIM card just in Cameroon here, and then it seems as if they are calling you from abroad. Those are things scammers are good at doing. And then some other times too, and they will give you names of people and tell you that, okay, this thing concerns this. Or my brother, like one of them once told me, oh, there is a reverend father who has come to the US, and his father has died, and he has taken back the corpse, and as he's going back, I've sent him with a whole bag of electronic gadgets, some of them having to be delivered to a medical doctor professor at CSU, meaning the University Teaching Hospital Qs in Yaoundé, and that you're going to help me to deliver that, and you have a profit of this on this. And then he claims now that, okay, this is the telephone number for the so-called reverend father, who will soon be telling you that, oh, he has gone to bury his father and they have issues in the village, he needs some extra money, and you have to look for money and give him. So it's a long story. It's a long story, but if you are vulnerable, if you are desperate, and if you are glad to eat of something, to eat from where you have not sweated, you will easily fall into these things. But when they start happening with me, usually I follow them to the right end, and I make sure I do not lose any franc, but I follow them until where the scammer becomes naked in his scamming, and I now warn him, and I tell you that, Mr. Scammer or Mrs. Scammer, you are not yet qualified in scamming. So go and learn and increase your skills of scamming. But if you try me again, I'm going to report you to Interpol. But some other people, if you follow up that kind of thing and you're not careful, you will end up losing your money. So never do. When I do that, when I continue to buy into their idea for a certain amount of time, it is because I want to discover what they have behind. But it's a big pity that people have really, really, really fallen short. Good afternoon. Fallen into the hands of such people, and they are crying loud, and money having been paid into phony accounts in the name of, because they will tell you that scan your passport and send to me, I will send you a visa. What kind of visa on earth will somebody be asking you to scan your passport and send to the US when there is an embassy in Yaoundé? It doesn't work that way. The few cases of countries where you may apply for visas by scanning passports and sending, they're very few, and they should be countries which do not have diplomatic representations in the country where you're applying for. And so people will do that, and sometimes they even trick you into giving them very sensitive information about your bank account, and before you get up the next morning, they have wiped out everything you have in your account. So please, 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 I really, 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 really plead on us. We should stop falling for cheap propaganda, cheap promises of jobs abroad. It's not so easy. And then sometimes they also send websites to the younger people they want to scam, claiming that the websites are advertising jobs. And when you go to that website, believe you me, it is a fake website. Anything you see on it as a job, you click on it, it doesn't take you to any other place further than that. It ends around, it turns around, and maybe it accidentally runs into different websites that have just completely different things to do, or it starts asking you to register yourself or do X or Y or Z. Please, we should really, really avoid falling into these traps. If you must take risks, I think it is reasonable at least to take those risks through people you know personally. Because I think that each and every one of us has somebody out there they know personally. If at all you must take a risk, take that risk through somebody you know personally, you know where the person comes from, you know their family home, so that in the event of any kind of thing, you can really have at least somebody to whom you can cry, to whom you can run and complain. And thank God, when I am out or I am in, I always tell people I don't deal with jobs. I don't deal with lines to make people travel. Whether I am in Cameroon, whether I'm out of Cameroon, I always tell people that what I do is, when I see scholarship opportunities, I share them so that people can apply. Those who are lucky can be taken and they will go for their studies. And I always also believe and even plead that normally when Africans go and study abroad, if everything is possible, it is good to come back home and build Africa. So all these things are things that I think it is important to let younger people know about, because it is not as easy as that. And the worst of them is when you work that money, hard-earned money, sometimes that mama and papa have helped by selling maybe some of their produce from the farm, plus what you have sweated to work as part-time jobs here and there, left and right. You gather all that kind of money, and then you pay it into the account of a scammer oh, it really cuts me, it cuts my heart, and I think I can't stay quiet over this. So I will be rounding off now with this topic of the scammers and others, but I think for now, if there are questions anybody has on this particular topic, let's address them. Or any other, because I've also seen comments people were making which are quite pertinent, like those ones, because we also have to continuously be blaming our leaders for being the kind of people they are, and consequently making people running away. So I think at this juncture, because I have talked, I've given my own little strategies, because first of all, and it is always very advisable that when you want to engage in certain things, have some people close to you you can confide in, you have confidence in. You can tell them that I'm trying to do this, please, do you think it is possible? Somebody is promising me this, do you think it is? There are people who can always help you verify those things, and they will warn you so that you don't fall prey, you don't fall victim. And I think I've helped a number of younger people. I can't call their names, but I thank them for their courage and their sense of wisdom, that they usually come to me and say, look at what this person was sending me, I'm promising this, and I check those things, and I now warn them. I say, please take care, don't fall into that. So I cannot always be the person doing that. I have my other things I'm doing, I'm busy with them, but all of us have friends and people that we count on, people we really trust, people who may know one thing that we don't know and can be able to verify such false claims and fake promises and help us out. So people who are watching at this moment, if you have a contribution, another technique, another thing you think, another tip, another way to speak to our younger people, you can type it in the comments. I will read it out. Or you can even call to participate live too, so that people can also hear from other perspectives, even other reasons why people are running away. I think, yeah, one of them, which is the first one that always comes up, is poor leadership, poor political leadership. That one is clean and clear, but there may be other things. So I will be waiting for a couple of minutes to see who is also contributing by bringing us advice to our younger people in Africa, so that we can really dismantle Libyan-like situations and Kuwait-like situations. So any contributions, questions? So before we move on to the next thing. Any question, any contribution about this coming stuff? Because it is becoming too much. It is really becoming too much. And if we don't join hands in creating awareness, in making people know some basics, people are going to continue to fall prey, and their hard-earned money will be disappearing into the coffers of disguised lazy people in the name of scammers. Any other thing, contribution, comment, question on this topic about scammers and young people and the vulnerability of young people to them? And like I say, avoid sending money to people you don't know personally, or people you know casually on Facebook. You don't have their proven, trusted, working email and telephone, and maybe even a neighbor they have where they claim to be, that you know, and you end up sending money to those people. It can't work. You only lose the money. And again, on Facebook, do not be surprised. Hackers and scammers are capable of taking my photos or your photos or the photos of some other person and creating as many fake accounts as they can do. I remember another incident recently I saw, because I am very good at dictating messages, emails, especially from scammers. There was a time, twice I've seen them hack into the accounts of two of my professors here in Cameroon, and they sent out messages to us claiming that the professor traveled to, the first time one of them, they were claiming that the prof is a rector of a university. By that time he was a rector, had traveled to attend a conference in a certain country out of Africa, and that he had financial problems and needed some help. So you can imagine how those people can, the way they can play around, and they send that thing to nearly every contact in that prof's email. And what do? We have to quickly call the prof and tell him that, because we have his phone number. So I'm saying this because tomorrow, if they hack my own account and they send you that kind of funny thing, the first thing you need to do is to call me, tell me. Then recently too, they also did it for another professor of mine, and they were claiming that he needs money urgently. He wanted some money to be lent to him, and I took the initiative and I called him. And when I called him, he thanked me so much, because he told me that just before my call, he had already received approximately 50 or more calls and even emails from people, and so he quickly understood that scammers were at work, and so he had to take security precautions. And one of the first obvious security precautions to take in the event like that is to change your password, so that they do not continue to have access to your account and to send faulty information out to your people. Okay, thank you. I think let's take another point. I was saying I wanted to clarify opinion on certain things, because I had a conversation with a person a couple of weeks ago or days, and the person came and was telling me, how about the Canadian lottery? I was like, oh my God, what is the meaning of Canadian lottery? So I thought that, okay, the best thing to do is to without quoting a name, to address such a worry in a live video, because by doing so, many people listen, and then it is that you're already answering even an unasked question from people who might have had the same kind of question. So I thought that I should briefly clarify a few things on this whole stuff, because I've heard several times people talking of lottery of this, lottery of this. To start off with, the most popular lottery, which is attached to visas, is the DV lottery, the Diversity Visa Program of the U.S. Department of State. Some time ago, Denmark used to have a green card program too, because the DV lottery in the U.S. finally leads to a green card for those who are successful. Denmark at one time had a green card. Then there are some countries of the EU that also had and still have. Some have opted out of it, but some are still there, what they call the blue card. And I remember having written a poem called Draining Cards about this. I wouldn't want to go into that, but at the moment we know about the DV lottery. Is a very popular program of the U.S. Department of State, which has been going on for years, and every year, each year, about 50,000 diversity visas are giving out to people selected at random. That's where lottery comes in, because lottery is about something that you do. It could be a game, it could be applying for things like this lottery, and then the outcome is not going to be based on any particular competence or performance, but more or less about chance and luck. Because U.S. Department of State computers will raffle draw, and then lucky people will be selected, and they can check only on the website to know if they were selected or not. So do not pay attention to fake emails that will come to you claiming that you have won the DV lottery, because that's another way that scammers try to get people. So, but we all know that the DV lottery at the moment we're speaking is on red alert under the presidency of President Donald Trump. It is on red alert, and we don't even know the future of it, if it is going to continue or not. So, but now, I think, yeah, and generally I think the period when people enter into that is usually around October and November, where you can, if you are able by yourself to do it, you can still do it on the website, because that's normally something you're not supposed to pay to do. If you can take a good photo that fits in with the photo requirements and fill out the other information, you submit it on the DV Diversity Lottery website, which has something .state.gov, I think. Now, but sometimes we here at home have to pay people help us so that they can help us take a good picture, a good 4x4 passport photograph, which we will use, and then they also help us to fill the forms. That's why some people will have to pay as much as 1,500 or 1,000 or 2,000, depending on the places to play. But believe you me, there is never any guarantee that one will win. So let nobody charge you so much money telling you that if you play in his place you must win. It is lottery. It is lottery. It's a game of chance. So only chance will help you out in that kind of thing. But now there is something in Canada which people often like to call lottery, which is not a lottery. There is what the Canadian immigration has a specific program now called the express entry. Sometimes in the past, I think the name was slightly different, but now the name is still express entry. And I will want to briefly explain how express entry happens. I'm not explaining it because I know it so well. The website is there. At the end of this video, if people like, I can still bring the website to them, and the link of the website is an official website of the government of Canada where you can go and learn more things. Some people have contacted me privately and I've sent it to them time and again. So I'm not advertising it. It's not something I master so well, but the basics that I know about it I have to bring out so as to dispel the confusion that it is a lottery. It is not a lottery. And it works in a similar way to the blue card in the European zone. So that's why, as I'm talking about it, I will already indirectly be talking about the blue card stuff. Because basically what happens is that with the express entry, it is a program that Canada uses to attract highly qualified people, professionals to come and work in their country. And the luckiest people in that domain are people who fall into some jobs that they classify as jobs of high demand or high need. And the basics, again, like I said at the beginning of this video, is for any of those jobs in Canada or through the Canadian Express entry, you need to have a first degree or at least a certificate equivalent to a first degree. So by certificate being equivalent to a first degree, we mean that, okay, you might not have a degree really called a degree, but if you have a certificate that you used 3 to 4 years to obtain after your advanced level, that can be considered in some cases as being equivalent to a first degree. So they usually want you to have a first degree in your profession and at least 1 year of professional experience. And by 1 year of professional experience, it means that you should have worked for at least 12 months after the official date on which that certificate was conferred on you. So meaning that if you do a degree program and the degree is given to you, or you finish in July of 2010, then you can only start being eligible as from July of 2011 and with proven work in that domain. Meaning that you should be able to provide a CV that shows that you have been working, meaning at least you have to mention the companies or the schools or wherever you've worked, which can be contacted if there is need. Or sometimes you even have to offer to give what they call job testimonials, because sometimes we work in places where the company manager can give us testimonials to prove that we worked with them. In case they don't give, but we are sure that we worked for them, you can fill your CV specifying that between this and this time I worked for this and this company located at this and this, and you give the address of the people. So what happens is that people fill out, because when you go to the website, you first of all fill some basic information and it checks your eligibility to see if you are eligible to apply. After that, you will then fill the whole thing with your education, and then the more you are bilingual in French and English, the more advantages you may have. But remember, again, I say there is a category of jobs that people are highly lucky in that way, but some of them are jobs that are kind of saturated, or they have enough people in those domains. And when I'm explaining these things, my heart is really bleeding, because normally I'm talking here to people who should be with us at home and building Africa, but sometimes we end up having to go and work elsewhere, and we may be gaining, we may be profiting as individuals, we may have a good salary, but the continent is not gaining, the continent is losing when all the big brands are going away. So it really touches my heart to talk about this kind of things. But I have to talk because people have been confusing lottery and express entry. So I come back. What happens now is that when you apply, you fill in everything, the details of your education, the details of where you have worked, and then you have to write language tests. Except that you studied up to university level, maybe in French and English, and you can use your degree to prove that. But generally, you have to write a test of English and a test of French. These are tests you have to pay for, and then you also submit the certificate. So the people at the immigration department will select candidates, good candidates, based on their profiles, and then they go into what they call a poll. And in that poll now, it is a poll where you are waiting. If a potential Canadian employer contacts you, looks at your profile and say, wow, this is good, we need this person, they will not contact you. You will discuss with them, agree on a contract with a salary, and if that salary respects the modalities of that country, reaches the basic minimum salary of that country, then your employer can then offer you a job offer, an official letter of job employment, and then you can then apply, and your visa is processed and you travel to Germany. So that's why I'm trying to explain that it is not a lottery. This is something based not on nothing but pure competence and experience. So it is, you have to prove that you have the professional training required, you have the professional experience required, you have the language ability required. You go through all of these things, and it is employers who really look at your profile. There is nothing random about it. There is no random selection. So if you go through all of these and finally your services are needed, a job provider will get you, and from there you can now apply and pay for the visas and also some kind of money that is needed from you. You need to, as money you will start off your life with, because you won't just come to a country like that and you start off life without having some money on you. So this is basically what I had to explain, so that tomorrow people will be may not again confuse the DV lottery, which is really a lottery, with the Canadian Express entry, which is a recruitment portal, and it really looks at people, which means that they can be biases. And what do we mean by biases? If they need a person, they are looking for the most qualified. They're looking for the most qualified, for the most competent, for the person who can deliver what they want. So they really look and scrutinize the profile. It's not like the DV, where after you've entered, if you have met the eligibility and you enter, the next thing will be a raffle draw done by computers. So this is basically how the express thing happens. But again, I should be adding that different provinces in Canada also have some special express programs, but all of them are connected with the federal government, because everything is done coordinated by the federal government. So that, for example, a province like Ontario, or a province like Quebec, or a province like New Brunswick, or other provinces, Atlantic provinces, each and every province, they have different and specific other kinds of express entry programs that will attract people, especially the best brains, the most competent, the most productive, to come and work and make their economies grow. So I think this is basically what happens. And then for some other people, another advantage would be if you study there, and upon graduation, more and more of their provinces are creating this kind of programs, where upon graduation from a graduate program, you can easily also apply to upgrade your status and change maybe from a student now into a permanent resident, and work in the field of studies within the domain where you did your studies. So this is it, and I repeat, this is not a lottery. This is not a lottery. So I'm begging, I'm pleading, the next time somebody is introducing such a thing to you or to me and calls it a lottery, we could be kind enough and polite enough to correct the person and tell them that it is not a lottery. So any questions, any comments on this clarification between the lottery and the express entry? Any comment, question, remark on the segment on the lottery and the express entry? Because if there is none, I will then be moving on to the last topic I wanted to tackle today, which is the topic of preparing for graduate admissions. Questions? I hope my voice is coming out, because nobody has complained, but I'm afraid it can be happening. So if there is no question, if there is no remark, if there is no complaint, if there is no, then I will have to move on to the next thing. Because I always say, as you are watching me, you can type in the comments. Once you type in the comment section, I will see what you have typed. So if you type a question, if you type a comment or a remark, excuse me, I will always see it. So I've not seen, so I do assume at this moment that there is no question as to regarding the difference between the GV lottery and the express entry. So I should basically be moving on to preparing for postgraduate admissions, as it is called in Europe, or for graduate admissions, as it is called in North America. And here I have been sharing, and I will continue to share, lots of scholarship opportunities. Some of them I just share. Thank you, and welcome to bro Prince. Welcome. So I will continue to share them. And I was saying that there's some that I share just on my timeline, but there's some that when I see that they're so pertinent, they're so specific for African students, I will also share them to my Facebook page, which is known as After High School Après le Lycée. So that's what I do. Some of them, sometimes because they are so general, I just share them generally, and we also have to understand that I do this amongst a whole lot of other things that I do apart from my studies or teaching or writing and other things. So I just try to squeeze out time and do this for the benefit of people, because these are opportunities flying past by, and sometimes we are not aware to try our own luck with them. So I will not be specifically talking about this or that. I will just say that today I shared a series of scholarships on my page, and I share them from another, because usually these scholarships are advertised by organizations, mostly civic society organizations that share those kind of things for the empowerment of the human beings. So I also take from there and I share. But generally what happens is that if you click, you will go to the link first on the website of the organization that advertised it, but when you read to the end, you will see another link telling you click or link to website, scholarship website. That one takes you straight to maybe the foundation that is offering the scholarship, or to the university website, or the specific website of the scholarship. So I think that those ones I shared today on my timeline, they are close to 30 of them, with deadlines already approaching. I wouldn't want to be mentioning them, well, but I think a few of them are worth mentioning, like the Commonwealth scholarships and others. And the Commonwealth scholarships usually, but not all of them, will require that you have to apply through the Ministry of Higher Education in your country. They usually call it, in the application document, they call it the nominating agency. And the nominating agency in most Commonwealth countries is the Ministry of Higher Education, or the Ministry of Education, because some countries don't have so many ministries for education like we do have here. So that being said, I just wanted to talk more or less about some basics when one is preparing to apply for graduate or postgraduate admissions. And by this I mean masters and PhDs. I want to talk particularly about the research proposal and what they call the statement of purpose. The statement of purpose, in some places they call it a personal statement, in some places they call it a personal essay. But we must understand that these are different. It is different from the research proposal. Though in some cases you may have to integrate your research proposal into your personal essay, or into your statement of purpose, or into your personal statement. It is important to understand the difference first before being able to integrate. And I'm saying this because in some of our countries, and in some other countries of the world, which are few by the way, admissions even into masters and PhDs just by a matter of submitting maybe a file consisting of your transcripts for the previous degree and stating somewhere that you want to be admitted into the department of X or Y. But in the majority of situations, even admissions, simple admissions, even without a scholarship, is very competitive. And so the people look out for the best candidates to select. And to get these candidates, they will be looking at their performance in their previous degrees, and they will also be looking at, most importantly, their personal statements and their research proposals. And in the personal statement is something that makes them know more about you, that helps them to know more about who you are, the setup, the background you come from, and the kind of aspirations and goals you have for your future life, and the way you are impacting your community. And by community, they just simply mean how are you useful to humanity besides your studies and the things you do, and then the field of studies you want to get into and why you want to do it. So because sometimes we are used to a system of just submitting a file and then getting admitted into a department at the graduate or postgraduate level, it becomes a bit challenging when we have to apply for admissions in countries that will need these heavy files. And I think that it is good to prepare for each admissions as if it will require you to produce a heavy file, so that when you now begin to apply to many universities, you may come across some that will not need a heavy file. In that case, you won't submit a heavy file, you just submit the basics that they need. But if you go to one that needs a heavy file, you should already have something handy that you may just have to adjust, modify, and then it fits into what is expected of you. Because basically, especially at the PhD and masters, in some cases their masters may not be compulsory, but at the PhD level, please, you have to have a research proposal. You have to have a research proposal. For the statement of purpose, it is usually about you talking more about your background of studies, the reason why you have chosen the particular study program you are applying for, the reason why you have chosen the particular university or faculty or even country at times, and then what you will bring to the program, your contribution to the program, and your expectations of the program. What do you expect to learn from the program, and how do you want to use what you have learned from the program to benefit you and humanity at large. And then your country, especially in the case of scholarship, because most scholarships will also insist on hearing what you want to do to your home country or home continent upon your return after you studied abroad. So this is what a statement of purpose will ask for, and sometimes this is the best opportunity, because some universities in the US may also offer what they call need-based scholarships because they find that you come from an underprivileged family background where you don't have a certain amount of yearly income. They may have some offer that kind of scholarship, what they call the need-based scholarship. Some also offer what they call the merit. For merit-based scholarship, it will be because of your intelligence, how you have been performing, and that will be seen on your transcripts. So, but always know that each university, each institution will ask for a slightly different kind of statement, and they always highlight it where you see it. They will say, okay, provide a statement of 500 words or 1,000 words or 600 words, and always respect the word limit, please. Always respect the word limit, and make sure you highlight the most important things they have asked for. So in case they have not asked for particular things, and they have not asked for a particular word limit, it will also be reasonable to limit everything to a maximum of 2 pages, because remember that the admissions committee will be reading things from many people, so don't give them too much work to read. So you have to always filter and make sure you're writing just the essentials and the most compelling things, and narrate them in a way that will also be engaging with the people reading you. So that being said, as far as PhD admissions is concerned, mostly in Europe, then Australia, and then even in Africa, there is a slight difference from what obtains in the US and in Canada. Because the US and Canadians PhD system, you get in, you still do a number of postgraduate courses, take exams, and then you also do a couple of exams like what they call the field exams and the dissertation prospectus, and in some cases you even have to defend it before your supervision committee will accept and approve your dissertation, and you move on to it. And for that reason, in some programs, when you are applying, they may ask for your research proposal, which is just short, which is quite short. They may just require something 500 words or even less than that. They may just want a couple of sentences, maybe from 4, 5, 6 sentences, stating the areas of research you are interested in. But I'm saying that this is not a straitjacket thing that happens with all universities. Please know, the website of any university will always give you the specifics. But I'm trying to give a kind of overview of what you could be expecting because of the way the system operates. But now in Europe, because in most European countries, there are either very few courses you would take when you're already a PhD student. In the UK, for example, I don't think you take any course at all. You just move straight into your research. You are doing nothing but research. So, and in such countries, including even France and Germany, it means that before you apply for admissions at the level of a PhD, you must have a solid PhD proposal, a research proposal. Some master's degrees will also require that. So this is where I'm really driving home today. Because even contacting prospective supervisors, even to contact somebody initially and say, dear professor, I saw your profile on your website, and you are an expert in such and such domain. You've published this, which is similar or which touches the areas I'm in love with or I am passionate about. So at this level, because you want to see if the person will agree to supervise you, and you have to know that you are not the only person contacting that person. There are many other students who want that person to supervise them. You have to stand out. So I'm saying this because if you contact those people and you are just giving your idea vaguely that I would like to do my PhD research on the topic this, that is not enough. The best thing is to have already prepared that topic you want to work on, because PhD really means, thank you, bro Victor, thank you so much. Wow, I send you greetings too in China, and greet everybody I know, and you know whom I mean. Thank you so much. So like I was saying, it is very important, because if you just tell somebody that I would like to work on maybe post-harvest processing of crops in my country, in Cameroon, and you end at that sentence or a couple of two sentences, that would not be very helpful. That will not really be something that will catch the attention of that professor. The professor will be much more happier if you contact him and you already send an attached document of about 2 pages or 1.5 or 3 with a detailed research proposal. Because different disciplines of knowledge have different ways of doing research, but the basics are there. And what are the basics? At the level of PhD, you must have research questions. Even when they are not stated as questions, you really know that I'm trying to find out answers to this or this thing. So, and then some will insist on having a hypothesis. Hypotheses are not compulsory in all the fields, but at least hypotheses and questions are linked, because the hypotheses are tentative answers to the questions you are posing. And you have to briefly explain or describe the field. If you want to do in food processing, how many other people have already done research in food processing, either in your country or in the neighboring countries? And how do you want to differ from them? What do you want? Because at the level of the PhD and even masters, what we really want to do is that we want to bring a new thing. We want to bring an addition to knowledge. We want to expand the horizons of knowledge. So you have to make the examiner or your prospective supervisor or the admissions committee to know that you are well aware of developments in your field. You know the most recent books that have been published. You know the hottest books, I should say in quotes. I mean, the most popular books in that domain. And you know ideas that you will use from that book, and sometimes there may also be ideas that you want to challenge with your own research. I mean, by challenging, I mean something like proving the contrary of what has been proven until that time. So I come back. I'm saying you have to have this: the research questions, the hypothesis, the relevance, a review of literature. So you have to link it to existing research, and you show how you would differ from people. And you should also be showing the relevance, the importance. Why now? Why this topic? Why do you want to do it? Why should we waste our money? Why should we give you money to spend 3 years or 4 years working on this topic? So these are the things that people want to see. And even a professor who wants to supervise you will be happy to first see this. Because when they see this as a whole, already written, they can be able to say, okay, fine, this is a topic I want to accompany this student to research on. Or they may say that it is not really what is of interest to them. Because why am I saying this? I'm saying it because sometimes you may see a professor who has been supervising students on a particular welcome party, who has been supervising students on a particular topic, but because academics, they grew with their research interest. Sometimes somebody starts off working on African literature and later on they start going towards comparative or even European literature. So you may be approaching them at a time when you saw on their profile that they have published things on African literature, but just when you contact them, after they have read your whole proposal, they may discover that it is more or less about African literature, which they are no longer very much interested in. So that's why the only way for somebody to really evaluate, or for a professor to be able to decide to see if this is the kind of student I would like to supervise, because relationships matter so much in terms of supervision, is when they really see your proposal in full. They see your proposal in full, and from there, if they accept you, if they want to supervise you, they may be able to suggest, if it is not up to the standards, there may be one or two things they will suggest that you improve. They will help you to improve. And it's not like they will improve for you. No, they always give you hints. They always give you hints and prompts as to how to do that, because that is what supervision is all about. Even when you start your work with them, each time you write something and bring, or you produce something and bring, they will look at the thing and they will try to critique the thing. They will try to make constructive feedback about the thing, to show you where you've done it so well and to show you where you've done it not so well, but to tell you the things that if you did it this way, it could be this way, and then you improve it until you get to the end of that long journey, 3 lonely years. Because anyway, PhD is very lonely sometimes in places where there are no courses at all to take. So it may be lonely, but it's also fun if you are participating in conferences and seminars and workshops, and also sharing your ideas with other professors and students in your department and school. So I'm saying this, if there is anybody who has contacted me recently privately and we were discussing, and I'm trying to guide the person to submit applications here or there, and I've noticed that the person didn't have a research proposal, I think the person should now have an idea about what I'm talking about. Because there are some cases where people have contacted me and what they have produced or what they have shown me has been their personal essay, their statement of support. That is not enough at the PhD level. Even if you are planning to apply in Canada or in the US, I still recommend that you have a fully developed research proposal. And even when the university says that it is not compulsory to contact a potential supervisor, I still advise you to contact one, because your application will have more chances of being accepted if by the time it gets to that university there is somebody who already knows you. And by knowing you, I don't mean that the person has met you physically. I mean somebody you've communicated with through email, so that even the way you've shown a sense of professionalism in the way you handled your email communication can already be a good starting point. You never can tell. Sometimes the person you are contacting to be your supervisor may just be one of the key persons who will be sitting on the admissions board. And the person, by sitting there and knowing you and already knowing how interesting your research topic is, and then that coupled with a good background, academic background, as will be proven by your transcripts and then the letters of recommendation that your other professors would write, that can always be a good thing, playing to your advantage. So I am repeating, please, when preparing for graduate admission, as it is called in North America, or postgraduate admissions as it is called in Europe and elsewhere, it is important to have a research proposal, especially for PhD candidates, PhD students. Please, it is important to have a research proposal. It is not enough just to have your essay. Have your essay, have your statement of purpose, have your, sometimes it is called a motivation letter or a motivation essay. That is different. A research proposal is the topic you want to dig deep into, the topic you want to spend the next 3 years, depending on the country, or the topic you want to spend the next 4 years thinking about, writing about, discussing about, arguing about. They want to see you bring out that topic. Yes, of course, it can always change. Sometimes it can change, it can evolve, and especially for countries like Canada and the US, where you have to take some courses within the first 2 years of your program before you also prepare and defend your prospective thesis program and field research and all those kind of things. You can change it completely and do a different and a new thing, yeah. But in countries like in the UK and in France and in Germany, where you really come in and you just move straight and you continue to do just your research, it is important to know that in these kind of countries, the research proposal is very important, especially for scholarships like the DAAD in Germany. Before you apply, you must have contacted a supervisor who accepts to supervise you, and no supervisor will accept to supervise you until they have seen your research proposal. They're accepting to supervise not only the individual but the topic the individual wants to work on. So basically that is that for now. I would like to take questions or remarks or complaints or anything that is before I will round off for today. I know that today I've been more or less very general. I've not gone into very specific things, but I do hope that it has been helpful to one or two persons. Okay, thank you so much, Brother Azete Prince. You say, yes, you are very right, Prof. The US is very strict with research proposal. Good, that's a good thing. And you are speaking from an insider perspective. Yeah, that's very important. So that's why the research proposal, please, I am repeating to anybody listening to me and planning to do a PhD one day, please develop a research proposal. Even me, I am not a supervisor, but you may want to contact me for advice as to where you want to apply. I would like to see your proposal. I would like to see your proposal, because I can only give you substantial, I can only give you concrete and helpful advice or tips if I know exactly what you want to work on. So I'm very happy, and I'm thanking you for that remark and comment, which confirms just exactly what I'm saying, bro. Welcome, thank you. I do appreciate. I do appreciate. The research proposal is key, is central, especially at the PhD level. For the masters, it may be slightly different because some universities may not really stress it too much. But I want to tell you with a lot of confidence that at the PhD level, please have a research proposal. If you want to do a PhD in a master's or a PhD, a doctorate of business administration or a doctorate of management, please, what issue of management or mismanagement do you want to dig deep into within the next 3 or 4 years? Your prospective supervisor and the admissions committee will be interested to see this. Because for them to create a space and admit you, even if it is without funding, you need to know that universities that are serious have a limited number of students they admit per program per year, so that they don't have a lot of work, or they don't have people having to mark scripts more than they are expected to do. So all these things are taken into consideration. So even if you are applying to do it with your personal money, know that there is competition at the level of accepting you, and you have to give reason to the committee that will accept you that they should take this person, that is somebody we need to work with. Any other questions? Any other remarks? Somebody may have a specific question about a specific scholarship. You may just ask. I may know. If I know, I will answer you. If I don't know, I will tell you honestly I do not know, and we may research it. We may find out. I don't share into that philosophy that people, sometimes you ask your teacher or advisor something they don't want to say, they don't know, as if somebody knows everything. Nobody knows everything. Everybody knows something, but nobody knows everything. This is just the fact of life. So any questions, if they are specific about the specific thing regarding admissions into masters or PhD, please feel free to ask them. I may be able to give you an answer. A brother like Brother Azete can be able to also give, and some more people who are also watching here, and it will be a helpful thing. Questions, remarks? And I think that even throughout my presentation, we have been able to get a glimpse of some of the basic differences between how the PhD is structured in Europe and how it's structured in America, or how it's structured in Africa, how it's structured in Australia. Yeah, that can also give people ideas as to where to apply, or even after they have applied, they can also guide them as to where to choose, because when you apply, it's usually good to apply to more than one place, even more than 2-3 places. Apply to as many as possible, and when the offers come, you can then reflect more and more and more until you come to a conclusion and you choose one place where you will go for your studies. And yeah, basically that's it. And it is still very cool. It's still a very nice thing. It's very fine and fun to study at home. But you can study at home here. But while you are studying, you can also apply for exchanges, for academic exchanges. You may be registered at the University of X or Y back here at home, but you decide that in the course of your program, you will apply for some kind of funding, or if you have it yourself, the funding, you can decide to visit a university in a neighboring country or a university in another continent for about 2-3 weeks, 3 months, consult their library, do some of the research there, present your dissertation in progress, and you come back home. All of these are possibilities, because the most important thing is internationalizing education, though I use it in quotes, internationalizing education and making mobility possible, so that human knowledge can circulate. It's very important. Questions? In the next 1 minute or so, if there is no question, if there is no worry, if there is no remark, then I will have to call it quit for today. And then if somebody has a particular topic they want to suggest that we discuss next time, I'm always open to. I will be happy, I will be glad, I will be grateful to hear from somebody suggesting a particular topic that we may handle in the next couple of days or weeks or months. And you can always do that by typing in the comment section below here. And if you found the video useful and helpful, feel free please to share. Feel free to share, as it can help many other people. Thank you so much, brother Prince. I will really be happy if you can share it, so that those students who are friends with you online and are not friends with me can be able to get it from your timeline. That's the basic about this thing, bro. This is the basic thing. We have to make people aware of these opportunities. Those God can bless them to have, they will have. That is the basics. Because for many years, people have been aware of such things and they always hide. And I'm wondering what they gain by hiding certain things. It's really funny. So it's a good thing that we are already jointly doing such initiatives to help people become more aware of the opportunities that exist, so that people can choose widely, so that people can extend their nets and get from as many places as possible. Thank you so much, bro. Yes, any other person who watched and listened, if you find it useful to you, please be sure that some other person will find it useful. You can just share so that other people can. If it helps 1,000 people, I think that would be a good job done. We don't want to gain any particular thing, but I think my happiness will be to hear somebody in the next video next year come back and say, oh, thank you, or do you know, from your advice and tips I was able to apply and I got admitted at this place. That is more fulfilling than even expecting to have millions. Because what will I gain if I profit the whole world? If I, as the Bible says, if I gain the whole world and I lose my soul, what will I gain? Even if so, we don't have to hide opportunities. They're there for everybody, and competition is there. The best candidates will be selected, and if you don't make people aware, some people will always be aware, a few people will always be aware and take advantage of that. So why not make others aware and try their luck? I'm so happy. I thank you particularly, bro, because you didn't only watch but also contributed and confirmed some of the general remarks I was making. I'm grateful, and I'm grateful to each and every one who took off time from their tight schedules and they followed the video from start to finish. Even if I didn't acknowledge your coming online, please, I am well aware that you were here with me, that you watched, and I'm happy, I'm grateful, and I will be much more grateful if you share it so that other people will do. And already, I think in the next video, an idea is coming up. In the next video, I will be tackling something about the basic preparation at the level of secondary, high, even primary, secondary, high school, and first degree level. So because I've noticed a lot of ignorance, students do choose certain things which are not capable of doing, or make wrong choices, or do not know that they need to have this before they can be able to qualify to get this. I think this is something that we can address subsequently. That being said, I thank you everybody, and I wish you a nice day wherever you are. God bless you. Bye-bye.